There is no reason why you should come out of this illusion. If you say, well, tomorrow, the next day, maybe in another dozen lifetimes, I'll be ready. That means simply I don't want to be bothered with it now. I'm even not interested in it now, so I've got an excuse for putting it off, which is fine. You can put it off unless you are so disturbed by the suffering that you've got to find some sort of escape. But if you don't want to, you can stay. It's okay, there's lots of time. At least in the moment of death, you'll see that it was all a fake.
We imagine ourselves to be results of the past, like when God approached Adam in the Garden of Eden and said, "Hast thou eaten of the fruit of the tree whereof I told thee thou shouldst not eat?" And Adam said, "This woman thou gavest me, she tempted me and I did eat." And God looked at Eve and said, "Hast thou eaten of the fruit of the tree whereof I told thee thou shouldst not eat?" And she said, "The serpent beguiled me and I did eat." And God out of the corner of his eye looked at the serpent. The serpent said nothing. We're always passing the buck and don't realize that the past is caused by the present.
The more you relinquish power, trust others, the more powerful you become. Instead of having to lie awake nights, controlling everything, you do it beautifully by trusting the job to everyone else, and they carry it on for you. You can go to sleep at night and trust your nervous system to wake you up in the morning. You can even tell it, I want to wake up at 6 o'clock, and it'll wake you up just like an alarm clock. Coming to a sense of oneness with the whole of the rest of the universe is not to try to obtain power over the rest of the universe. That will only disturb it and make it seem less one with you than ever. The way to become one with the universe is to trust it and say, let's see what you're going to do.
Take one frog in cold water and boiling water, and the frog jumps out. However, if you heat the water very slowly, the frog will just sit there and sit there all the way to 100 degrees centigrade. Of course, we're a lot smarter than frogs, aren't we?
There is no reason whatsoever why there should be any poverty at all. People keep asking the question, where's the money going to come from? Not realizing that money doesn't come from anywhere, and never did, except if you thought it was gold. And then, of course, prosperity would depend not upon finding new processes for growing food in vast quantities or getting nutrition out of the ocean. No, it depends on discovering a new gold mine. When gold is used for money, it becomes useless. The Buddha said, we suffer because we desire. If you can give up desire, you won't suffer. But he didn't say that as the last word. He said that as the opening step of a dialogue. Because if you say that to someone, they're going to come back after a while and say, yes, but I'm now desiring not to desire. And so the Buddha will answer, well, at last you're beginning to understand the point. Because you can't give up desire. Why would you try to do that? It's already desired. The moment you see you hypothesize that you are different from the universe, you want to get one up on it. But if you try to get one up on the universe and you're in competition with it, it means you don't understand you are it. A lot of people are afraid that when they die, they're going to be locked up in a dark room forever. What will it be like to go to sleep and never wake up? You see, you can't have an experience of nothing. Nature abhors a vacuum. In other words, we all know very well that after people die, other people are born. And they're all you. Only you can only experience it one at a time. And when they come into being, that's you coming into being. And if you think long enough about that, something will happen to you. You will find out that it'll pose the next question to you. What was it like to wake up after having never gone to sleep? That was when you were born.
If a tree falls in a forest and there is nobody around to hear it, does it make a noise? A noise is an experience caused by a vibration of air interacting with an eardrum. So when the tree falls, it will set up a vibration in the air. But if this vibration in the air does not pulsate upon an eardrum, there will be no noise. What will happen if I hit a skinless drum? There will be a hit but no sound, because the drum has no skin. So if there is no eardrum, the vibrations in the air will not make a noise. Nothing which is not in relation to us has any existence.
If people are intelligent, they cannot be subjugated. They cannot be forced in a mechanical life to live like robots. No society would like people to use their own intelligence. Because the moment they start using their intelligence, they become dangerous. Dangerous to the establishment. Dangerous to the people who are in power. That's the very function of your schools, colleges, universities. No society wants you to become wise.
Let's suppose I love some girl rapturously, and somebody says to me, would you really love her? Well, how am I going to prove this? Well, say, write poetry. Tell us all how much you love her, then we'll believe you. So if I'm an artist and I can put this into words, and they say, all right, okay, we'll admit it, you really do love her. But supposing you're not very articulate, are we going to tell you you don't love her? We are playing a game. And the game runs like this. The only thing you really know is what you can put into words.
We have been on a rampage for the past 100 or more years to improve the world. We have insisted that they receive the benefits of our culture, even our political styles. You had better be democratic, or we'll shoot you. We wonder why everybody hates us. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, because all the do-gooders in the world, whether they're doing good for others or doing it for themselves, are troublemakers. On the basis of kindly let me help you or you'll drown, said the monkey, putting the fish safely up a tree. Sometimes doing good to others, and to even doing good to oneself, is amazingly destructive. How do you know what's good for other people? How do you know what's good for you? If you say you want to improve, then you ought to know what's good for you. But obviously you don't, because if you did, you would be improved.
Human beings are largely engaged in wasting enormous amounts of psychic energy in attempting to do things that are quite impossible. You are not going to improve the world, and you are not going to improve yourself. The part of you which is supposed to improve you is exactly the same as that part of you which needs to be improved. You are just what you are. Once you have accepted that situation, you have an enormous amount of energy available to do things that can be done. And everybody else looking at you from an external point of view will say, my God, how much so-and-so has improved.
When the police enter a house in which there are thieves, the thieves go up from the ground floor to the first floor. When the police arrive on the first floor, the thieves have gone up to the second, and so to the third, and finally out to the roof. And so when the ego is about to be unmasked, it immediately identifies with the higher self. It goes up a level.
The only way to handle danger is to face it. If you start getting frightened of it, then you make it worse, because you project onto it all kinds of threats which don't exist in it at all. When you are sailing in a storm, you don't let a wave hit your boat on the side. You go bow into the wave and ride it. Whenever you meet a ghost, don't run away, because the ghost will capture the substance of your fear and materialize itself out of your own substance and will kill you eventually, because it will take over all your own vitality. The rule for all terrors is head straight into them. So then, whenever confronted with a ghost, walk straight into them. It will disappear.
Professor, is this all real? Or is it just happening inside my head?
Of course it's happening inside your head, Harry. Why should that mean that it's not real?
Put a price on emotion. Looking for something.
In the quest for pleasure, food, power, possessions, and I think, no, it isn't there. So I go in for the arts, literature, poetry, music, and I absorb myself in those pleasures. And after a while, they aren't the answer. And I go to religion. But I'm still seeking what I was seeking when I wanted candy bars. I want to get that goodie. Only I see now that, of course, it's not going to be a material goodie. All material goodies fall apart. But maybe there's a spiritual goodie that's not going to fall apart.
People are consumed with guilt about the way they bring up their children. You can't blame this on the past, because now in the present you are creating the values of the past. Don't forget that time goes backwards. It's like the idea of forgiving someone. You change the meaning of the past by doing that. The past always flows back from the present. Now is the creative point of life.
Let's suppose that you have some difficult and distressing habit, like drinking too much. Once you've become the victim of this habit, it's an extraordinarily difficult thing to get rid of it, and it requires intense willpower. It's as if, you see, you had said to the devil one morning, look, I'm going to get rid of you. So the devil, who is terribly clever, is all set for you. And because he knows that you're getting out of his way, he surrounds you with greater temptations than you ever imagined. If you are going to outwit the devil, it's terribly important that you don't give him any advance notice.
What we want is to control everything, to create clothes that never wear out, apples that don't rot, power available to do anything that you could conceive. If you think about that and find out whether that's where you want to be, you will see that's not what you want. Because the moment you have a situation where you are really in control of things, in which the future is almost completely predictable, you will see that a completely predictable future is already the past. You've had it, and that's not what you want. You want a surprise. Go back to your childhood. What were the fascinating things? What's out there? What's beyond the stars? How long does it go on? And Mama said, it goes on always and always and always. The child wonders. It's exciting. That there's something that never ends. The biggest ego trip going is getting rid of your ego. Your ego doesn't exist. There's nothing to get rid of. It's an illusion. But you still want to ask how to stop the illusion. Now who's asking?
If you listen to the ego will put you again and again on a neurotic path, the path of being somebody.
If you awaken from this illusion, and you understand that black implies white, self implies other, life implies death, you can feel yourself not as a stranger in the world, not as something that has arrived here by fluke, but you can begin to feel your own existence as absolutely fundamental. What you are basically, deep, deep down, far, far in, is simply the fabric and structure of existence itself.
What is the meaning of life? If you go on searching, you are bound to come to the truth that life is meaningless. But that doesn't mean that your life needs to be meaningless. You bring meaning to it. The meaning has to be given to it. You create meaning. I cannot show you God. Nobody can show you. God has to be found within.
Most people nowadays say, I have no time. Of course you don't, because you're not aware of the present. The present is represented on your watch by a hairline that is as thin as possible, as is consistent with visibility. And so everybody thinks the present is, instead of, the present is the only real time. There is no past, and there isn't a future, and there never will be.
The art of washing dishes is that you only have to wash one at a time. If you're doing it day after day, you have in your mind's eye an enormous stack of filthy dishes which you have washed up in years past, and an enormous stack which you will wash up in years future. But if you bring in your mind to the state of reality, which is only now, this is where we are. There is only now. You only have to wash one dish. It's the only dish you'll ever have to wash, this one. You ignore all the rest, because in reality, there is no past and there is no future. There is just now. Before you can be liberated, you've got to pay off your karmic debts. During your many past lives, you've done all kinds of deeds, good and bad, and you are reaping the consequences of these deeds today. And also today, you're setting up future consequences. And so the moment you set your foot on the path of liberation, you are apt to find that all your karmic creditors will come to your door. It's often said that people who start suddenly get sick and lose their money and their best friends drop dead and all kinds of ghastly things happen. If you're going to leave town and you owe lots of money, you mustn't announce that you're leaving or give a farewell party to your friends. The art of the sly man is to make no contest, but simply to leave without one word.
Then for the first time you look around and the beauty of nature is revealed. Then you listen to the harmony of the universe, the symphony of the stars. Then everything starts to become more and more beautiful. Layers and layers of beauty are revealed. Your eyes have a penetrating force. Wherever you look, you go deep. Even in rocks, you feel flowers blossoming. What you are in this vast universe, not even a small cell, but men is very egoistic. He cannot feel at ease just to be himself. He wants some great mission to be attached to his ego. No, I don't see any mission. The whole may have something, but no individual has it. The only thing that you can do is to be yourself, blissfully yourself.
How can I improve myself was the first problem. The second problem is, how can I accept grace? They're both the same problem. Because you've got to make a move which will put yourself out of your own control. Behind the ego, there is the inner self, the real self, the spirit, which is substantially identical with God. So you've got to meditate in such a way that you identify with your higher self. Now, how do you do that? You start by watching all your thoughts very carefully, watching your feelings, watching your emotions, so that you begin to build up a sense of separation between the watcher and what is watched, so that you are no longer carried away by your own stream of consciousness. You remain the witness, suspending judgment and watching it all go on. You are beginning to be in a position to control it, but just wait a minute. Who is this self behind the self, the watching self? Can you watch that one?
It is absolutely impossible to have an original thought, because mind is memory, mind is the past. The mind can only be a repetition. The very nature of the mind is that which you feed comes out of it. Sometimes you can have some combinations of thoughts which appear to be original but are not. Thoughts cannot be original, only you, because you belong to the very source. You were there in the beginning, and you will be there in the end, because you are existence.
It taught you as a child to feel guilt. If somebody comes along and says, well, you shouldn't, it's not the point. I'm going to say, not that you shouldn't, but that you do it, don't worry about it. And if you want to say further, but I can't help worrying about it, I'm going to say to you, okay, worry about it. But if you don't know what you're supposed to do, you simply watch what's going on. Like, say, somebody plays music, you listen, you just follow those sounds, and eventually you understand the point of the music. The point cannot be explained in words, because music is not words. But after a while, in listening to any music, you will understand the point will be the music itself.
Let's suppose that you were able every night to dream any dream you wanted to dream. And you would naturally, as you began on this adventure of dreams, you would fulfill all your wishes. You would have every kind of pleasure. And after several nights, you would say, well, that was pretty great. But now let's have a surprise. Let's have a dream which isn't under control, where something is going to happen to me that I don't know what it's going to be. And then you would get more and more adventurous, and you would make further and further out gambles as to what you would dream. And finally, you would dream where you are now. There arise among human beings people who seem to exude love as naturally as the sun gives out heat. They are, in every way, like rivers. They stream. And so when they collect possessions and things that they like, they are apt to give them to other people. Because you ever notice that when you start giving things away, you keep getting more? You are a symptom of nature. You, as a human being, you grow out of this physical universe in just exactly the same way that an apple grows off an apple tree. So let's say the tree which grows apples is a tree which apples. And a world in which human beings arrive is a world that peoples. We say, I came into this world. You didn't. You came out of it. If you are going to be an expert archer, you must shoot before you think. Otherwise it'll be too late. You don't aim and then shoot. It's all one action. But how can anyone do that? What happens is that we've practiced so often that we find out we can't do it. And it happens at the moment you know you can't do it. When you reach a certain point of despair, when you know that you are the one weird child who will never be able to swim, at that moment you're swimming.